to Rinoa Reviews, and welcome to day 1 of Mortal Kombat! Week. I initially wrote this review after reviewing Street Fighter, the 1994 live-action movie. It very loosely followed the plot of the video game, which, to be honest, was just a fighting tournament, so that movie went the action hero trope, with more about Bison being a full-on dictator flexing his superiority until the nations of the world struck back. Other characters kind of along for the ride, and by the last 10 minutes get your Hadokens in and whatnot. But 1 year later, New Line Cinema took what worked with Universal did for Street Fighter and gave us the live-action measuring stick. That is Mortal Kombat. Opens on the song too, already a good sign, and already a one-on-one. Unnamed Kung Fu guy getting stomped on by our villain for this movie. We don't get a name, but we know from the taunt who this is of, "Your brother's soul is mine. You will be next." Sorry, I can't do that justice. A prophetic nightmare that awakens our protag, Liu Kang, from his extremely greenly lit bedroom. Cut to Hong Kong with a metal rave scene going on as armed people dressed in all black storm the place, one of which is Sonya Blade, dead set on finding this Kano character. He is indeed here and talking with Shang Tsung, who's already horny on men wanting Sonya at the tournament, and warns Kano, who is also horny on men, "Touch Sonya and you'll need a seeing-eye dog." Meanwhile in LA, one guy in a suit takes on 4 baton-wielding hench dudes. Tells the 4th one, after beating on him, "This is where you fall down." He does so. Surprise, it's a movie set. Johnny Cage. He's all, and the press says, "I don't know how to do this." Frustrated Johnny leaves in a huff and sees an old man sitting in his chair. It's John's sensei, Master Boyd. Boyd believes that if Johnny wants the press off his back and to acknowledge he's legit, go to this tournament. And Johnny accepts. Later on, Boyd by himself leaves and shapeshifts into Shang Tsung. Bum bum bum. Back to Liu Kang, who's reached the Temple of Light, who in the earlier scene read a letter that simply states, "Brother's dead, come to China." It's revealed his brother Chan was the one who fought Shang Tsung earlier, sought to defend this place. Liu's skeptical, saying, "One-on-one fights don't decide these things. How can you believe in this?" The grandfather there says, "We all do, your brother too." The monks of this temple rally, saying that Liu's dream was indeed prophetic. He must go to the tournament. Liu's primary reason is to avenge his brother, and then is like, "Oh right, I forgot. We're fighting for the fate of the world." "That's why you left the temple and ran away, isn't it? The great tournament was too much responsibility. But vengeance, that's so much simpler." Here we are. To paraphrase Rusty Venture, Christopher motherfucking Lambert. Lord Raiden thinks Liu's not ready, demonstrates such. But this only angers Liu, saying, "If you really are Raiden, why didn't you protect Chan?" Raiden asks Liu the same question. Liu's still determined to find his brother's killer. Lord Raiden and the temple's consent or no. Grandfather says he's still not ready. Raiden says, "I know, but there's no one else." On the way to Shang Tsung's boat at the docks, Johnny meets another OG for the movie character in Art Lean, a fellow martial artist. Mistakes Liu for the help to carry his luggage and promptly drops it into the sea. Sonya spots Kano on the oncoming boat and gives chase. She bumps into Johnny Cage and is real cool about getting held at gunpoint. Makes you wonder what head he's thinking with right now, He and Liu follow this gun-toting maniac down to meet Shang Tsung, who reveals he's got Sub-Zero and Scorpion under his thrall to do his bidding. They're about to start something up until Lord Raiden makes his presence felt. "Call Isudusi, 'cause Sub-Zero and Scorpion have been thunderstruck. Your fighters attacked these people. An explicitly forbidden act outside of the tournament, as your emperor well knows." Shang says, "Alright, we'll wait till the tournament where your dominion has no power." He leaves, and then Raiden reveals that Sonya, Liu, and Johnny have been chosen to defend the realm of Earth in a tournament called Mortal Kombat. Defend it from an Emperor of Outworld who can claim this realm if his sorcerer Shang Tsung and his warriors win 10 tournaments. They're up by 9 so far. Hopefully you got all that, because most of the rest of Mortal Kombat week will run on this little ruling as well. 3 heroes raise questions as to what's going on and why don't the other tournament fighters get in on this. Raiden says, "Fighters they are, but I've looked into their souls and yours. One of you 3 will decide the outcome of the tournament. The fate of billions will depend on you." Sorry. If I'm not quoting Shang, I'm quoting Raiden. Bring on more special effects from Shang Tsung. It has begun! Everybody on the island now, as Liu walks past and notices a woman staring at him. As I continue on, Shang Tsung mentions out loud to no one in particular, seemingly at first, that Princess Kitana is to be kept away from the humans. Watch her closely, reptile. Then later arrives to greet all the combatants to the tournament. "Some of you will have the honor and pleasure to face our champion, Prince Goro. You are all witness to one of the greatest turning points in the history of your planet. Treasure these moments as if they were your last." He then beckons his monks to clear the way of the fighters and the dinner tables they were sitting on the floor for, just so Sub-Zero can freeze one of the monks in midair and shattering him on the way down. Villain flexing, I guess. Flawless victory, indeed. I wouldn't exactly say flawless. You got a cleanup crew to get to take care of food, and now that one monk's frozen chunks of what he once was. Oof. As our 3 heroes try to follow Shang Tsung, they argue amongst themselves. They see the shadow of a roaring Prince Goro and get a better look while eavesdropping on Goro and Kano having a chat about Shang Tsung, how he enslaves souls, and they almost get into a fight themselves until Shang himself shows up telling Kano he'll get paid after he beats Sonya. Humiliate, not harm. Shang's still horny on Moon. He also warns Goro that the descendant of the great Kung Lao, Liu Kang, is here, and not to let Kitana, the rightful Outworld heir, join the fighters from Earth, especially Liu Kang. Goro thinks nothing of both, but Shang reminds Goro that we've never been this close to victory. Leave nothing to chance. The Emperor nor I will accept failure. Heroes leave the scene, but make just enough noise in their hurried exit to alert Shang to their presence. Liu follows Kitana and is blinded temporarily by a cloaked reptile. Johnny finds him and has he and Sonya follow Kitana's perfume scent that Johnny smells, quote-unquote. They arrive to an empty arena. Sonya replies, "I recognize that scent." Bullshit. And then Shang's goon squad arrive to get whooped on. After that, Raiden applauds and keeps twice that many goons from attacking them. I'm just gonna say that maybe the goons thought better to take on this guy who black dynamited Sub-Zero and Scorpion earlier on Shang's boat. I threw that shit before I came in the room. More exposition from Raiden after rescuing the 3 heroes, saying that to face Goro is bad enough. Shang Tsung himself may fight if he chooses. To face him is to face a legion of adversaries. Tournament begins tomorrow. The entire island is the battleground. Shoutouts to any fellow WMAC Master viewers / fans from the 90s. Liu Kang versus Hakeem Alston, the Machine. Anyone else would have fallen to this boost. It even gives Mr. Chosen One a fight, but Liu Kang takes him. And with a dropkick to the chest, Liu wins and just kind of stands there as Shang takes his soul. Fatality. Sonya gets the fight in the tournament too. Hello, baby, did you miss me? I haven't done any Kano parts yet of this one. Give it up, baby. I've studied all your moves. Apparently not enough. Too cocky, and Shang delights in what he sees, telling Sonya, finish him. Kenya's all, no, don't. Or give me a break. Sonya's legs wrapped around his neck does just that. So iconic that role, it ends up being in all sorts of future MK games since. Hell, I think a move or some fatality is even titled Ear to Ear. He's all Aussie too after this movie's success. If the actor was still alive, Trevor Goddard, if he was still alive and well, You know NetherRealm would have snatched him up to play Kano. I know the DLC voice packs for this movie's actors for Raiden, Johnny Cage, and Sonya. If he was still around, he could have easily done voice pack 2 of him as Kano, Robin Shu as Liu Kang, and whoever it was that played Shao Kahn in the second movie. But back to this movie. Johnny Cage and Scorpion walking through the forest. Get over here! Less spear and more, sentient creature special effect. Kind of like Spawn in a way for Scorpion. Spawn also an MK11. See, this movie's a blueprint, man. But yeah, as if Scorpion wasn't popular and high tier enough, now he's got a demon spear that gets stuck into a tree, so... Okay, now he's without that, Johnny figures. I'll jump kick him as, oh my god, we teleport to a hellscape! They finish that fight hand to hand, basically. Johnny climbing on scaffoldings and such as Scorpion says, get down here! Johnny down on the ground where there's skeletons everywhere, and now we see a flaming one in front of him. Dusty! Johnny's quick thinking, he grabs a shield to block the attempted fatality and then grabs a spear of his own, lobs it at Scorpion, then cuts his ass up with the edge of the shield. He explodes, and I guess somehow Johnny gets out of the hellscape on his own, because all that's left is burning, smoldering parts of Scorpion and an autographed photo of Johnny Cage. Friendship. Yeah, this movie came out in 95. MK3 was same year, so either during or at least 2 years after the second game where that particular friendship was seen. So much for helping Kitana away from Shang Tsung. Why have them fight each other in Mortal Kombat there, Shang? Maybe you figured lose or revenge will win out over reason? Kitana during the fight warns, to win your next match, use the element that brings life. So they fight a bit more, and Liu, I guess, wins. He just kind of pins her down. The fight is off because the next scene is in a temple where said next match takes place. Raiden taking a sip of water as another hooded monk leads Liu Kang to battle Sub-Zero. They throw hands for a while until Sub-Zero decides to freeze the whole area down with this like a area of effect kind of thing going, growing bigger and bigger all the time. But Liu remembers the element that brings life being water. Grabs a pail and throws it at the oncoming freezing sphere, and the water freezes to ice and runs him through. Fatality. Shang readies his champion, Prince Goro. We've let these humans win enough. Goro Mania running wild as all manner of martial artists gets tossed around like rag dolls. Time for that one OC character that had one conversation with Johnny Cage to die, Art Lin. Getting brutalized and soul took by Shang Tsung while our heroes just stand by and watch. Again. So they're feeling dejected, they just let that happen, is reminded by Raiden that Goro and Shang Tsung's power can be beaten by mortal men. Liu and Johnny already have beaten down the two ninjas under his thrall. Raiden telling each to face their fears before they can overcome them. Johnny's fear is what other people will think of him, that he's a fraud, so he'll rush in and be careless. Sonya's a lack of trust. There's things you can't do by yourself. Liu's fear, his destiny. He ran from it once, and now he feels guilt for Chan's death. Raiden says not to be guilty. Chan knew what he was getting into. He's responsible, not Liu. Don't let that fear take hold. Shang will use that to overcome you. Johnny wants to challenge Goro personally. He believes he can finish this so he and his friends don't get picked off. Sonya's all huffy, thinking he's just doing this to protect her, as he says, I can't let what happened to Art happen to you. You were right there. You could have stopped them then. Or is there something unwritten that if Earthrealm were to interfere, they'd forfeit, so they can't interfere? And again, they can't risk a win number 10 for Shang Tsung, because, well, there goes the neighborhood. A deleted scene, perhaps? So Johnny lets Shang know he wants to fight Goro next. Shang says, very foolish. The true sign of a hero, wanting to protect your friends. But make no mistake, they'll die too. As absurd as your request is, I shall grant it. In return, I reserve the right to challenge the winner personally, or another of my choosing, in a place of my choosing, for the final battle of the tournament. Raiden takes that offer, much to Raiden's chagrin. Johnny tells him, this is our tournament, Mortal Kombat, we're fighting it. Raiden's all, okay, at least one of you understands. Johnny Cage versus Goro. Time to spam jump kicks. At least that's how I remember fighting Goro and winning on the SNES. Don't know what that arcade one entails winning. Goro breaks Johnny's $500 sunglasses. So Johnny breaks Goro's gonads. Split punch. I was curious to see if this worked on Goro in the game. I saw a YouTube video. It does do damage, but it does not stun Goro at all, leaving Johnny to get either stomped on or picked up with the and he just boots on him. The powers of boss AI. It stuns him a great deal in this movie. Hurt Johnny a bit too, And angry Shang tells Goro, follow and finish him. Johnny runs to a cliffside and lures Goro out. Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole. Goro's still probably using one of his 4 hands to check his downstairs, gets kicked off the cliff to his death. This is where you fall down. So many good lines in this movie. Not even from 1 or 2 characters, but everybody gets a whew. One problem, though, with that. Shang makes good on your little deal, nabs Sonya and retreats to a portal, taking them back to Outworld, where Raiden can't follow. But he knows Liu and Johnny are ready. Because there is one rule Shang did mention. The one who is challenged needs to accept the challenge or no final combat is made. So the two go to Outworld. Liu's been upgrading now because he can sense Reptile who followed him to Outworld, which goes from weird CGI monster and possesses, the body of a fallen warrior and becomes Reptile. And we get the live-action equivalent to the Vega Chun-Li of the coolest fight in the movie and coolest song behind it. Yeah. Really good back and forth till Liu busts out the bicycle kick and squishes the CGI lizard that tries to escape the aftermath. This moment is made even more awesome when I later learned that after scripting this, an excerpt from 80skids.com in their 20 Things You Didn't Know About This Movie. Sho recalls, he broke one of his ribs or something like that, and Sho recalls being aware of that injury, decided not to tell anybody. Quote, what's the point? If I told them I fractured the ribs, they're going to stop production, and then there goes my Hollywood dream. I was hurting. I told Keith Cook, who plays Reptile, I'm hurt on the right side of the ribs, so just don't kick me there. I muscled through the fight and then went to the hospital. Bad ass. I need to find another movie where you're badass in, so I can at least feel like an apology for you being in so many bad stuff. Oh, hey, Katana, you're here too. Yeah, the movie does this, once again, get shit in places where they need to be formula. Katana reveals the backstory of Outworld, that they lost 10 Mortal Kombats, and then the Emperor came in and slaughtered the king and queen here and took Katana as his own daughter. This is the neat stuff I like, the history of it all. She speaks as this place was always named Outworld, and not the original name, Edenia. I guess that was established later in MK4? At least that's the first I've heard of the place Edenia. I know they always call it the Realm of Earth and not just Earth Realm. That name got established around Deception, if I recall. Anyway, back to the movie. Katana lays out how Liu will face 3 challenges, because she also feels Liu can win and defend Earthrealm. Face your enemy, face yourself, and face your worst fear. Where you get more hooded monks to make way for, I guess, this weird wedding or whatever Shang's planning for Sonya. How does marriage work in Outworld? She's in some sort of, new outfit. Sonya says she won't fight him, and Shang tells her, there's no one else. If you don't fight, you forfeit. Sonya tells him, my friends will come. Surprise! They're already here as the monks. Some of them. Katana warns Shang and his men not to interfere as it would break the code of the tournament. Okay, we get an answer to why the good guys just stood back and watched Art Lean get murked by Goro. Okay. So, Shang challenges Johnny Cage. Liu challenges Shang, who accepts. Once again, final combat can't be decided unless someone accepts the challenge. And they're fighting on top the Mortal Kombat dragon symbol to the music. Hour and 20 in, and finally we get blood drawn. Unless you count Scorpion leaking fire and what's it getting cut up. That's what you get for a PG-13 movie, I guess. But yeah, bloodied lip for Shang Tsung, who summons a bunch of dudes to fight in his place? How is this allowed in the tournament? I know the MK games have their endurance rounds, but this is ridiculous. I never thought I'd have to say And then Liu Kang fights a full armored samurai, but here we are. He drops them all, and about the time it took me to type this sentence out for my review, now Shang is atop the stairs and telling Liu, "I can see into your soul." Liu says, "You can see it, but you don't own it." Shang then turns into Liu's brother Chan and tries to guilt trip him into letting him die, but Liu's having none of that, and the fight resumes. "You're mine." Sorry, I had to... Liu even ends the fight with a better-looking Hadouken-style punch. Better special effects, I guess, in 1 year's time. It sends Shang to his death, because as he's trying to guilt-trip Liu Kang, the dragon has, spikes rise from the floor in the shape of it. But he avenges Chan's death. He even gets to see his brother one last time before his soul is freed and ascends to heaven. Celebration back on Earth as Raiden is waiting, but it's short-lived. The Emperor, shows himself. It's clearly Shao Kahn, but he's just a see-through figure, and boom! Another sequel bit. One that actually somebody bit. Best character? Gotta give it up to Liu. This was even before the cracked ribs I found out about. That Robin Shu suffered and soldiered through. That's just the polished finish on this statue of badassery. Liu got a little more fleshed out in this movie with the whole revenge plot, then matured into the hero. This movie was turned a one-note White Lotus Society hero type / Bruce Lee, and really fleshed him out as one who had to overcome his want for revenge, any abandonment issues he felt in leaving the temple, and his brother Chan. He gets to be one half of the best fight in the movie, and real Robin Shu powered through it to make it so. Sometimes in jigsaw puzzles, there's some work to make things fit. No struggle at all here. Robin Shu fits like a glove more than Raul Julia's bison, I dare say, and that is not a statement I make lately. If I was a king, I'd knight you. Sub-Zero in this gets jobbed out by a pail of water, so yeah, I'd say he's the worst. It's this movie's equivalent of a wrestling match going great until the finish. I don't need to say anything more about that. Yeah. Sub gets done dirty here. Power Off is inserting that Art Loon guy just to build up Goro and build that big Hollywood no moment from everybody. Sony didn't even know who that even was that well to warrant that. You could argue we don't even know Art that well. He had one conversation with Cage in a background set at a dinner meeting before the tournament. That's it. So if I have one gripe in this amazing movie, it's not the character himself, just everything that transpired to off him. Power On. The movie and overall Power On moment, far from perfect, but something akin to greatness in comparison to Mario Brothers Double Dragon and Street Fighter before it, and the whole Liu Kang reptile fight as well off the top of my head for the Power On moments. This movie isn't... Actually, it might be as memorable as that Street Fighter movie, and actually a step in the right direction for how these movies should go. But yeah, going through this all over again and having the latter half of the movie deserves better than just a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I get it. I did describe so many scenes in which things just kind of happen and no one stops it. It's still the most put together, in my opinion, as far as these movies go. The movie was successful enough for its sequel bit to land a catch, and then that movie more deservedly got 4% on Rotten Tomatoes, so all that good this movie did gets mostly pissed away in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So until then, take care, and reptile.